Okay, so here we go with the ultrasound some more. This is the first part of the ultrasound we're tackling, is this question of this idea of heating up the tissue. Like I said, with ultrasound, you have two choices. Think about heating or think about healing. Do you want to heat it up or do you want to facilitate healing? Now, the first thing we're going to look at is heating up the tissue. When do you want to heat it up? How do you go about doing that? Why would you do that? What are the benefits of heating up the tissue through that deep penetration which you get, which ultrasound is so good for doing? Okay, if you decide to heat up the tissue, why is it good for heating up? You have to think, I would think in general, this is very much in general, that heating up is good when it's more chronic. So it's been longer than 3 months, it's more chronic, been around forever, it's very stiff, lack of range of motion. You want to heat up that tissue to make it more elastic so you can stretch it, range it out kind of thing. Improvement of range of motion, chronic stiffness, osteoarthritis, frozen shoulders that we'll look at, other issues they just lost, it's become very, very stiff and restricted. It also will increase the range of motion, also helps decrease the pain. Somebody has chronic pain, shoulder bursitis or arthritis, or any kind of shoulder issue, it's really good for that. But also consider this is kind of the downside to heating it up. If they're in any degree of acute kind of tissue repair process with the body physiologically, the heating up will be contraindicated, will make things worse, potentially. So what it could do is it kind of brings, when you heat something up, it brings all that fluid into the tissue, the site of the lesion. So if you're heating it up when it's still in a chronic edema kind of stage, and you're forcing more fluid in there, you're going to make it swell more. Potentially, you're going to make it hurt more. You could also impair the whole healing process. So be careful of that. You want to think more chronic versus acute, more stiff problem versus a recent injury kind of problem. Again, general principles. The fat in the muscle has low absorption, greater penetration. Tendon and bone is high absorption, less penetration. So bottom line of that, be careful when you're going over bone. They can really absorb a lot of the waves, and they can get these big pain flashes. Usually I don't spend much of any time over a bone. You've got to be really careful with the hand, usually using very low intensity with the hand anyway. But like when you're doing the elbow, be careful with that for like tennis elbow and that sort of stuff. So you decide to heat it up. It's chronic, it's stiff. You want to heat up that shoulder to get that motion back, get that function back. How do you do that? You adjust the intensity and the mode. The intensity and the mode. First, let's look at the intensity. That's the power of the watts of the sound waves, the site of application. Not how deep it goes, but how powerful it is. So it's derived that number, usually watts over centimeters squared. As this number goes up, when you're adjusting it, you're increasing the intensity, you're increasing the heat of it. So 0.1 is a lot less than 2.0. 2.0 is a lot. With the machines we're working with, the calibration seems to be inconsistent between the machines, so we're generally pretty conservative. When we're treating each other, I'm usually sticking around 1.0, 1.2 watts centimeter per square. We don't want to go up to 2 or 3. That could really cause some people a lot of deep aching pain. It's not much fun to get that aching ultrasound pain. So be conservative with that. And as you're increasing that watts per centimeter squared, you're increasing the intensity. The greater the intensity, the higher the temperature. Intensity is the most significant thing to decide upon. Obviously, you can make it too hot, aching, shooting pain. If that happens, just crank that intensity down, obviously, as soon as you can, and move that sound head quicker. Now we have a second decision. You've used the intensity to increase it, to heat it up, and then what about the mode? What is the mode? The mode is really kind of two settings. It's either pulsed or continuous. Pulsed or continuous. Continuous is just what it says. It goes all the time. 100% of the time, the machine is working and heating up that tissue. Pulsed, it's on and it's off. it's on and off 10% of the time, or on and off 50% of the time, kind of off, on. So obviously, if it's on all of the time, it's going to heat it up a lot faster than if it's on a pulsed kind of thing. The pulse is really key and really kind of a cool thing to do when you're trying to heal tissue. It actually decreases inflammation and edema and does all these other great physiological properties. So kind of putting it all together. So let's say you want to heat it up. You would do that by the two things, increasing the intensity and making it continuous. So on your cases, on your midterm, you want to heat it up. Let's say it's a chronic thing and you want to heat it up. You're going to have that high intensity, probably 1.2, and you're going to make it continuous. You're not going to make it pulsed, because that would not heat it up, would not make any sense. Okay, let's wrap this one up.